Hey guys, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Skookum Session Roundtable. I believe this is episode 13. We, of course, tonight are joined by myself, Jeremiah Fountain, one of your hosts, along with my partners. I've got three of them with me tonight. We are missing a few, but I promise you we will still throw out a killer cranking show at you. So, we got, of course, Mr. Gary Spikes Jr. Gary, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing much. Busy. The Bigfoot world
Yeah.
is exploding, folks. And guess what? We're growing right along with it and learning just like everybody else out there.
That's right. Keep your eyes open, people. That's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, we joined by the Rudd boys. We got Nate.
Yeah.
Nate, what's going on, Mr. Nate Rudd?
Howdy, doing good on what is it, a Tuesday? Yeah.
It is.
Beginning of the week, doing good, hanging in there.
Good, man. Glad to have you. It's always good to see your face, man. Always good to see your face. Got to thank you for the other night, man, for bringing on that phenomenal guest.
Oh yeah,
he's something else. He's a wealth of knowledge, man.
He is, and we've been having correspondence ever since. He's just a super guy, and I think it's good for him,
I do too. Yeah.
We need to get him involved in one of these chats at some point.
I think he'd love to. Yeah. He already said he'd love to come back on. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And most certainly not least, we have Mr. Corey Rudd.
What's up,
son
everybody?
Of Mr. Nate Rudd. What's going on, Corey?
Hey,
good to see you, buddy.
Hanging in there
been
like
a couple
Nate.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask. I gotta ask, dude. Ask, and I think I know the answer. I think it's for show purposes, and I grew up calling my mother Joanne, and I don't know why. But do you call Nate Dad or do you call him Nate?
Dad.
depends on.
Okay, it's none of my business. I'm just curious.
Unless I need to like really get his attention, then I.
You're right. Nate. Okay, then it's Nate.
Yeah, it's funny with Jeremiah's mom. He calls her Joanne, and we call her Mom.
Yeah, it's me. Gary calls her Mom. I call her Joanne. Yeah, Last night I was over there talking, and Gary and Mom were talking. Gary's calling her Mom. I'm calling her Joanne. She took a little tumble the other night. She hasn't been right since, but she was doing okay last night, I thought. So.
Oh, good.
She's a tough woman. Looks good for her age. Did
she get banged up a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
She's got a little bit of arthritis, but she's a tough old girl, man. They don't make them like that anymore, But anyway, enough about me and my life. But anyway, it's good to see you guys, man. It's good to see you guys as always. Figured tonight, we talked a little bit about a topic beforehand, and the show the other night kind of reminded me. I shouldn't say that's not the right word. Kind of brought my attention to this topic, which I believe I've had a little bit of experience with, and I know Gary, you have as well. Is do these things follow? Okay, yes. I can answer part of that right off if you're looking at it from one sense. Okay, do they follow us out of the woods and track us? You know the answer to that, Nate. Corey, you know the answer to that. Yes, absolutely.
Well, they can. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
It may be a little different for us, Jeremiah, because you have them right around your house there.
Right.
It's a little bit different situation, but we have to drive.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you're camping and one gets on you, that's the sense I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got you.
We're going to address both. We're going to
address both. Yeah. But then you've got the other side of it where, well, we'll get into all that. We'll get into it. But anyway, I do believe they do in both situations, in both aspects of it.
Sure.
So first, why don't we'll touch on? Why don't we actually start? You said you had a couple reports.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Cool.
it. Give me 1 second. I'll pull them up.
Absolutely. Let's hear those babies first.
And that might be something just for future reference to like a certain few minutes at the beginning of the show for like weekly news or weekly reports. And the reason I'm saying it now because we're recording that way, I'll remember it when I'm editing.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Do like a news.
I think that's a done deal.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Well, I heard pretty. So this is your show. So
it's hey, what have I told you? It's our fucking show.
I'm giving you a hard time, bro.
I know you are. He likes to get a rise out of me, guys. That's why I love him. But anyway,
I have two here to
go
share.
ahead. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
And I stress this to people that it's amazing what you will uncover if you just aren't afraid to ask people about this stuff. Like I can't believe how many people like that I've talked to about this Bigfoot subject, and like there's so many people that have told me that they've had experiences, and it's even more so with spirits and stuff. And people aren't going to open up unless you talk to them about it. So, and these are the ones I got at my work, literally sitting with customers and asking them about it. So,
okay,
I'll start with this one. This is a secondhand encounter near Heart Lake, Montana.
Okay.
It's north of the Lolo National Forest. And it was in the 70s or 80s. The guy I spoke to has a close friend that told him what happened to him by Heart Lake, north of the Lolo National Forest. He was on horseback and traveling alone with a few horses from Heart Lake, which is a high mountain lake, back to his base camp.
Okay.
It was getting dark to where the visibility was scarce. He felt like he was being watched, and his horses started acting out, almost out of control. Then an extremely loud scream. The fellow that told me this emphasized how loud and powerful his friend told him this scream was, which resulted in his horse bucking him off and the other horses taking off. The dude, he was so scared, he rolled up into a ball, covered his head with his hands in a fetal position, and didn't move until sunrise.
Holy shit. That's primal fear.
No doubt.
That's primal fear. Right there.
And you know what, guys? That's that same area, the kind of the North Fork.
Just gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Just gonna ask you that. I was just gonna ask you that.
On the Montana side.
Yeah. On the Montana. Yeah. I was just gonna ask you that as well. But cool. That's some pretty good stuff, Corey.
The detail that really struck me was the feeling of being watched before anything happened. That's why you have to trust your instincts, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the horses. I've heard stories about. It might have been on that podcast, Sasquatch Chronicles, where this guy they were out in the mountains and they tied up their horses, and something was messing with the horses, and they were freaking out all night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I know they like to mess with horses. We know that. You said you had you said you had another one?
Yeah. So this is a first-hand encounter.
Okay.
The location is the Coeur d'Alene National Forest. The individual in this encounter was hunting. He threw out some bait, which was some meat for predators in an area where there were signs of predation, which he described as a lot of bones and fur everywhere. So he figured it'd be a good location to do that. He said this area gave him an odd feeling right away, but seemed like it would be good to watch for any predators taking his bait. It started to get dark to the point where he decided it was about time to leave. He emphasized to me how oddly quiet this area was, and there were no signs of wildlife whatsoever during the time he was there. So that's one,
and this guy told you.
Around.
You said this firsthand, Corey. So this guy was telling you what happened to him. Yeah.
Yep. The quietness was something he was really stressing when explaining his experience. He also was very surprised nothing was attracted to his bait, as it seemed like that, the area was perfect for it. He then went to collect the bait and noticed footprints, very large bipedal human-like footprints heading up a hill. He said they were a good 6 feet apart from each step, and he noticed a smaller set of them beside the larger ones. He could easily tell they were the size of what a youngster would be. Once he got to the top of the hill, the trail of footprints stopped right in front of a massive boulder field.
Oh, okay. That's significant.
Once again, we're coming right back to a boulder field.
Hey, again.
I know. Yeah.
Once again. Yep. If you guys want, I've got two I can read as well.
Do it. That's what we're here for.
One of them is from 2000. You read it, Nate. I kind of brought it back out of the archives because of the report my sister had sent me, which I also sent you guys, which I can read real quick if you guys don't mind.
No, go for it.
Okay, now this came from a paper in Pennsylvania, okay, back in 1931. All right. So I'm going to tell you, it's concentrates on a little hamlet. I shouldn't even say town. It's a wilderness area with a name. It's called Scary, New York. Skerry. Now Gary knew about this town before we even knew each other.
Okay.
Because it's very friggin' active and they are very aggressive in that area. Extremely aggressive. Anyway, okay. August 23rd, 1921. Hunt, nude wild man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Strange creature inhabits swamps in Franklin County, New York. Scary, near Malone. August 23rd, Sheriff Frank S. Steenberg of Franklin County and several state troopers at the head of a posse of 100 men yesterday started searching the swamps in the vicinity of Scary, 12 miles southwest of here in Malone, in an effort to locate an apparently wild man who has been reported seen devoid of clothing in that section by several persons within the past few days. The strange individual was reported about 10 days ago by the wife of a farmer as she went to a well. He disappeared quickly into the woods. When the occurrence was made known, neighbors recalled hearing weird and wild screams in the woods at night around the times of the sightings. A few days later, the man is seen by a lumberjack near the camp of Brooklyn Cooperage Company near St. Regis Falls, which I will add, St. Regis Falls from Scary is about 10 miles. So not far. Could have been a different one for all we know, Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's near St. Regis Falls, which is a lot of reports in that area as well this day.
Yeah.
Nearly every day since the man has been reported, observed from a distance by various persons. Now, anyway, I'll keep going before I say it. The man has been described as middle-aged. Officers believe he became lost while attempting to find a lumber camp, and after wandering through the woods for several days, became terror-stricken and insane as a result of the hardships. Which that doesn't really hold weight to me because back then the loggers were, I come from a logging family. You're like brothers. You stick together.
Yeah.
You're always in groups. But this is how, a Sasquatch report would have been written back then. They didn't know what it was, So exactly. It's just interesting because they're, to this day, Scary New York is very active.
And Jeremiah, I've got that book Politis put out. Yeah. He's got a ton of them in there. And one commonality with a lot of those early reports from the newspapers is, they call him wild man.
Wild man. Yep.
But then also quite a few times say it looked almost human,
Yes.
So that kind of aligns with what you just
corresponds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is another one, okay, from the kind of from the same area. And I sent this to Nate, and I believe Gary, I sent it to you as well, just because it corresponded with this encounter and added credibility. This sighting is from 2011. Location, DeBar Mountain Wild Forest, Adirondacks, New York. Nearest town, Brighton and Duane. Okay. Now, that would be some miles away, but near Scary. It's all an area, It's all in the same area. If you want to call it a town, I put in parentheses because this is right from the witness, guys. A guy by the name of Herb S. I can say his, first and initial, but he didn't want his full name. 52-year-old logger, hunter, fisherman, and carpenter. Like I said, location. Okay, nearest water source, Meacham Lake, which is right there. Okay. Nearest town would be Malone, which is 25 miles away through thick wilderness if you're not on the highway. Weather conditions on day of encounter, about 50 degrees and sunny. Time of year, beginning of October. He specifically remembers this because it was during a northern pike fishing trip to Meacham, which is a hot spot for northern pike in October. It's the best time of year to hunt for northern pike, to fish for northern pike in Lake Meacham. Beliefs on Sasquatch phenomenon before encounter. Total skeptic. Events leading up to and during encounter. Herb and a friend by the name of Donnie had planned unexpectedly the night before all this occurred to go and try their luck with some pike fishing at Meacham Lake, which has always been known for excellent pike fishing. They planned on leaving the following morning at 6 a.m. to get organized and hit the water early. They towed the boat to Meacham, which would be about an hour drive, give or take, from where Herb and Donnie lived outside of scary New York. Now, I said a lot closer, but I say an hour. He said an hour because towing the boat and all that. It would take about an hour to get everything together and get there. As planned, they got to Meacham boat launch about 8 a.m., parked the truck in the day visiting lot of Meacham Lake State Campground, and hit the water. Herb said they threw on their Red Devil spoon lures and started to fish. Unfortunately, after several lure switches and hitting every area of the lake, they did not only catch anything, but didn't even get a hit, which is very uncommon. At about noon, Donnie brought up the idea of packing up and heading to DeBar Mountain, which is right there next to Meacham Lake, for a relaxing climb. Not being a high mountain at all, a little over 3,000 feet, it's perfect for a day hike. Herb agreed, and they headed to shore, hooked the boat back onto the truck, loaded the gear. They decided to pick up the trailhead that within the Lake Meacham campground itself, the DeBar Trail, which is called the DeBar Mountain Trail. There is about 70,000 square acres within the DeBar Mountain Wilderness area. Again, this is ran by New York State Department of it's the Park Service. By this time, it was around 1:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon. The men proceeded to start their hike along the main trail to the summit. About halfway to the summit, they decided to take a break. Herb examined how everything seemed to be quiet, no birds or any other wildlife making any noise whatsoever, which is so bizarre. As they were about to proceed, they heard noises of heavy footfall coming from the right-hand side of the trail. Both being very skilled hunters knew there was more than one, and whatever was headed in the direction was on two legs. He explained how he was taken over by the feeling he had never experienced before, a feeling of primal, unknown fear. The two men were in shock as all of a sudden, after what seemed like hours, that whatever had been making the heavy footsteps towards them finally appeared out of the woodline and proceeded to cross the trail. He couldn't believe his eyes as he watched. In his own words, parentheses, fantasy became reality as two upright walking humanoid-looking creatures made their way across the trail about 30 meters in front of them, which is 90 feet? Yeah. One was red and the other was jet black. He admitted they were both terrified, especially not being armed, which I think was kind of a mess up on their part. Anyway, yeah. They crossed the trail with the red one, and the creatures crossed the trail from one side to the other with the red one in the front and the black one behind, about 10 feet behind the red one. The two creatures crossed the trail and entered the woodline on the other side of the trail. As he explained, it happened very quickly, although it occurred within 1 minute from the time they heard the footsteps to the time they saw the creatures. The description he gave to me was typical. He said both creatures were just massive, with the red one being about a foot taller. He told me if he had to guess on the height, he would put the larger one at about 8 feet, give or take, and the smaller one at about 7. He based that on his own height of 6 feet. He could tell by watching them move that they were made for the wilderness, with the walking motion being much different than a man, the knees coming up differently than a man's would when they stepped, and he said it appeared as if they pivoted back inward as they walked. So they got some good looks.
I was gonna say that's a lot of detail.
Absolutely. And these are hunters, so they're they pivoted back inward as they watch, which is classic. Being why the tracks are in a straight line. I added that, obviously. He described both as having conical heads with no visible neck, heavy brow ridge on both, but more so on the smaller one, actually. Unfortunately, he couldn't give a description of the face due to just seeing the profiles in side view, except for the fact the jaws were extremely square looking, no visible ears, extremely long arms, even in proportion to their height. Both having that they were right alongside of their knee. They were right along the side of the knees. The long one was described as long, but not overly long. The hair on the hair I'm talking about now was described as long, but not overly long. Best guess was made about 6 inches. And this is on the larger one. He was very adamant that most impressive part of their bodies was the buttocks. Very thick and nothing but muscle, as well as the thickness from, we hear this 1,000 times, from chest to back, the side profile. An interesting aspect of the description is that it appeared the stomach areas looked like beer guts, but he could clearly see that in fact it was nothing but thick muscle. As far as weight, being an avid hunter, bear hunter, deer hunter, etc., he estimated the larger one at maybe 800 pounds and the smaller one at about 600. The last thing he said to me was that he was amazed at how graceful they were, as well as how it baffled him how they paid the men no mind at all, because he believes they knew they were there. He knows they knew they were there. He regrets that the description he gave me was all he could provide, which I told him was plenty. Due to the spot they were standing and the shock they were in, they left the area immediately. They were pretty much scared shitless, is what he was saying. Yeah. Post-encounter. He did not discuss this with anyone until he spoke with me in 2015. We had met through a mutual friend. It totally changed everything for him, how he carries himself in the woods and how and when he goes in the woods. He is very weary, head on a swivel. Those are my words. He admitted that it took him a long time to process what he saw, as he didn't go back in the woods for 2.5 years. His friend Donnie never returned to the woods. When I interviewed her for the first time in 2015, he hasn't seen one since, and he doesn't care to.
Wow. That's an amazing encounter.
Yes.
Really got a lot of great details.
Yes. And like I said, they were both pure skeptics. And now they are knowers.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's almost an encounter of a lifetime, man, besides being scared.
He was scared. I talked to the guy, he was scared shitless. Yeah. Even that it brought back everything,
Yeah.
And we're talking about 2 rugged Adirondack loggers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll dig out some more reports. So yeah, Gary, great idea. Every week before we start our conversation, we can do this. This is cool. I like this.
Well, and I think it gives precedence all 4 of these reports that that how the variance of styles. You notice that hunters are given very descriptive reports.
Absolutely.
It leads right into tonight's topic of following you around.
And I have one more announcement to make real quick. The old man has decided to come on the show.
Awesome.
But
nice.
Because as you guys know, he told me a very interesting story this week about somebody shooting one of these things in 31. That's as far as I'm going to go with it, out of respect for him. He wants to gather more detail before he comes on the show with us. But he promises when he comes on, he's going to give us a hell of a show.
Wow,
he said, do the opening. And he said, you guys take care of the opening, shut your mouth and let me talk. So
there's more to that too. His hearing's real hard.
His hearing's hard, but he likes to bust balls. But yeah, his hearing, he isn't hearing very well, and
he's got an extensive law enforcement background, so he's
unbelievable.
He's used to get.
Wow, I can't wait for that.
And grew up as a logger, hearing stories from my grandfather about I gotta really. I'll tell this story next time. Well, I'll let him tell all his stories. Let's leave it at that. But he's agreed to come on. We just got to give him time to gather more detail on this shooting. So let's get going.
Tonight's subject: Sasquatch following us from. We'll just say following in general because there's two aspects of this that
yes.
Nate, you and Corey. Now, Corey, was you with Nate that weekend?
Which one?
Were they messed with them so much, or was that just you and your
hunting camp? I wasn't there that year.
Oh, okay.
I've been to that location, and I've heard tree knocks and stuff, and experienced just a couple little weird things, but nothing like they did.
Okay.
That one.
I'm pretty glad you didn't.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I don't know what I would have done, dude. Probably pissed my pants. Hearing that growl, man, I would have. Yeah, I would have definitely.
Yeah. You just Nate, to make it. I know we've already talked about it on the other show, but they pretty much chase you guys out of there.
Yeah, they put a lot of hard pressure on us to leave. Yeah. That's the way we felt, and it got worse every day. It ramped up every day,
and
where the last couple of days were really bad.
Night. You probably didn't notice, but they probably followed you some too.
Exactly.
They may have. Yeah. The thing is we really didn't hunt around camp. I had my side-by-side we used to hunt in. And so we'd drive up to our spots, from there, but they could still follow us probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Corey's encounter, when Corey saw that one that you told where you saw the one on the trail ahead of everybody, Corey?
Crossing?
Yes.
When we were driving home.
Yes.
Yeah, we were driving home from, what's the lake? Help me out, Dad.
Sullivan
Lake.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really far away.
Now, do you think that one followed? Do you think that it probably wasn't the only one for one? Do you think they could have followed you guys?
It's possible. We were in our cars. They would have.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, they're all over up there, and I think both of our opinions. So it could have just been. I didn't make that connection during that. They could have followed me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But it was.
We were a little ways down the road too. So.
I mean, car or not, though. I mean, they could have followed you guys to your vehicles. Yeah. And then when you got in, I mean,
the oddest part about it was that when you see a person cross the road, you're going to, even from that far away, you're going to see colors of clothing.
You're going to know it's a person.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this wasn't. It was like, it was just dark, all dark.
You know what it was.
Yeah. I wish I was closer, man.
I know.
I really wish I was closer.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I was like, that was bizarre.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be real close to them.
No.
The other part, Corey, tell them what we did. We drove up to that spot and looked, and there's nothing there. No houses.
Yeah, nothing.
Just it was in the middle, kind of the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Just a mountain. So that was weird. That was weird too, because I was gonna drive by and be like, wait, was other people over there or something? And it was just thick bushes, like tall, really high bushes, brush, trees, just mountainside.
It wouldn't be too far to say that it was an area that would not be conducive to human travel.
Just people driving out of there,
Yeah.
Dude, if I had to take a guess, the person because there was a person that was passing, like going the other direction when it crossed, and I can't remember. I think it crossed, then they came. So I don't know if they saw it, but if I had to bet, I bet they saw it too, honestly.
Well, I was actually talking about the thing that crossed. If it was going through the woods, what was the terrain like away from the
rough, dude?
Yeah,
rough. Yeah,
hard. Yeah.
So if you didn't have hard sole boots on, or what, if it was a human, when you say rough, it would have torn your feet apart and that kind of terrain.
Oh yeah, totally. It makes no sense. Like someone would be going over there.
Right, right. Okay. So so like right now we're talking about the short term, the possibility of short term following. I do have an experience with that. Pretty freaking scary one. Very similar to your what happened to you, Nate. We were actually it happened with the friendly group too here as well, but it wasn't as rough as this time. My buddy and I went up to an area near where I just told you guys about. And we knew we were going to be dealing with an aggressive group. Okay. So we get in there and immediately something was off. It just felt weird. Okay. And we start hearing hoofs and sonar clicks and just weird shit, man. And the first I look to the right hand side of the logging road, about 30 meters away, I catch what's looking like it's on an army crawl on its belly with its head cocked up, and I see bright red eyes.
Oh wow.
And I
was this nighttime, Jeremiah? Was it night?
Yeah. But I lit it right up. Nate. Lit it right up. And it was a ways away, so I got a view of it. I didn't catch full facial detail, but I knew damn well what it was. And it was like had kind of laying down like that, looking like a crawl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was down on the ground, and then that's when we heard the others kind of circling around us, and they started to let out some vocals. And at the time I was working with another gentleman, helping him run his organization. Called him, and he said, Jeremiah, you realize you're being surrounded right now. They're probably hunting. You need to get the hell out of there. And I said, yeah, you're right. And I hung up, and I no more than hung up, and we could hear them start to, what's the term you use, Gary? Triangulate?
Yeah.
They totally triangulated us. And we could hear my buddy Kelly. He's on one side of me. I'm on the other. We both were armed. And we started to walk out. He was turned backwards, and I'm walking forwards, and we're shoulder to shoulder. And it wasn't a full moon. It wasn't, there was light from the moon. So you could see silhouette. You couldn't see full blown. I said, we're just going to get the hell out. We need to get the hell out of here and not worry about trying to look at these things. But you could see and hear through the brush. You could hear one on my side, one on his side, and they're running through everything, knocking trees down, just trying to get us out of there. And we're thinking anytime they're going to come out and intersect us and just tear our heads off.
Yeah.
And at the time, that's what you're thinking, man. You know, let's face it.
They're working you guys out.
So they're just trying to get us out of there, and we were moving pretty quick, and they were having and this is thick brush, man. They were having no problem getting through this shit. They were just knocking it over, tearing it down, and they were grunting. And every once in a while, from the moonlight, we'd catch, but they seemed to stay out. It's weird because we had our headlamps, but they seemed to stay out of the view of those. But every once in a while. Every once in a while we catch eyes, but but from the moonlight we would catch a silhouette every now and then, And almost at one point he mentioned he swore it was on all fours running.
Oh yeah.
Swears it was on all fours. So, and I have no reason to disbelieve him. But anyway, we finally get about 100, maybe 100 feet from the truck. This is God, you're going back years now. 100 feet from the truck, they back off, the ones on the side. Okay, totally back off, and they're gone. It's like they disappeared in the thin air. They were gone. So as we're, trying to pull ourselves together, I got my bottle of anxiety medicine open already. It was horrible, dude. I hadn't been through anything like that yet. We had something told me, look behind you. So I turn around, dude, and I got the headlamp on, and the headlamp wouldn't reach quite that distance to where this thing was standing. But I see a humanoid-looking shape, a body, something standing there that wasn't really. If I had to say, I would, and I knew the limb it was. I knew where it was standing, so I could get a good reference on the height, anywhere from 6'6" to 7 foot. If I had to guess, it was a younger one because it was kind of built like a pro basketball player. And all of a sudden, it launched about a 4 foot, and I'm not going to say limb, I'll say log. It was good size. It threw it from that distance, man. And it landed about 4 feet in front of the front of our truck. And that was probably its way of saying, we got you out of here. Take that as a lesson. Don't come back when we hunt.
Yeah, no doubt. No
and
doubt.
I did deal with it with my group at one time as well, but it was not as nearly aggressive like that. But
yeah, so
that's my story as far as being, and this happened just, over the case of a couple hours, man. It was intense and something I don't want to experience again.
No,
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I think all of us, Jeremiah, Gary, Corey, we all think we're pretty brave and pretty tough, but boy, something like that really, really changes things. It reminded me. Corey told you we did those whoops and we got the callbacks across from across the creek, and we, to this day, I wish we would have stayed there because I think they probably would have came closer to us, but we kind of had that fight or flight reaction.
Exactly.
I think it was Chris, my brother-in-law, said, they're probably locating us right now and they're probably going to come up here,
Right. Right,
Corey? And we were like,
seriously,
man, we need to get out of here. It was pitch
and
black.
we had guns and everything, man.
Yeah.
We were like, let's not
it don't help when you're triangulated like that.
No,
dude, especially at night when it's pitch black and all you have is a headlamp, it's just
it's horrible. It's horrible. And meanwhile, you don't really know how many are out there,
Right, exactly.
Well, we know there was at least 2.
Yeah.
Right. You guys know there was at least 2. I didn't know about that third one at the time, but we knew when we walked in there, we knew we were dealing with at least 4. But as far as when we were escorted out, the only ones we knew about at the time were the 2.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was more involved.
Oh, for sure.
But it's, this was one of the common things that kind of brought me and Jeremiah together. Jeremiah, it's funny, he sent me that interview. The original interview I did, man, that's been almost 2 years.
Dude, it has been.
Talking about it, and here I am rubbing my head. I ain't got no hair, my hair's crawling, but I had the back of the set. The similar thing happened to me in my Class A sighting. I took the 2 guys up, and they followed us over 3/4 of a mile, and followed us, and doing little twig snaps and little hoots and knocks.
Yep.
And it's eerie, but with him talking about what my encounter, the one that got me was before all they started following us when we was going down. I was laying up underneath that cedar tree, and you could hear the ones up the hill, doing the whoops and the knocks
right
at the campsite. But I heard one crawling from low up. I was right on the edge of the 2-track where it went through in that little clearing. And I literally heard it, and I don't think I'm pretty sure it knew I was there, but I don't think that it maybe it understood that I had the skill set that I heard him. But I heard him coming up on me, and that's what was eerie. I knew it was up here, and then I hear this one sneaking.
Yeah,
I mean
that's scary. I will say, because I told you guys this story. We had one go in between my research partner and I one night when we were only about 75 feet apart.
Yeah.
Went right in between us, and we didn't see it. That's how stealthy these things are.
One of the common research tactics, and people laugh at me when I do this, but I started it with the Southern Bigfoot Alliance guys, a great bunch of guys who was down in Falk, Arkansas.
Yeah.
All get in a hurry and start walking down these roads and trails real fast, and I'm kind of crippled up. And I'm sitting there thinking, if a person was to be back here, you're bait. You think?
Absolutely.
But I was seeing shadows across, they had their headlamps and stuff.
Sure.
I was going pitch black and I'd see shadows. So that's a common thing that I'll do now. Me and one other person will hang back and let them walk, 50, 75 yards in front of us. And we'll sit back with night vision and you'll literally, and I can't confirm that any of them was Bigfoot, but it makes, you can see them crossing the roads.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's eerie,
It does. It is eerie.
But there's multiple reports of them following, people out of the woods. Matter of fact, I'm just talking to a friend of mine. He goes by Big Dog Alpha in the Big Dog, and he got followed. They got followed quite a ways. Him and Brandon Garrett and a bunch of them down in South Texas. And I would honestly think that in a tactical situation, one of the most famous, the fellow that was turkey hunting, and they followed the two of them. He was up in the turkey stand. He passed away a couple of last year. Real famous.
I know
are you talking about the guy from Louisiana?
Yes.
Mike Woolley. Mike Woolley.
One of the most famous where they followed him out. Earlier y'all mentioned the Bigfoot Outlaws. Bear and Tim, they've been followed out of the woods. You see, that's one of the commonalities. Well, it makes you almost wonder how many times we're being followed and we don't know we're being followed.
And we don't know.
And we all the time. So many times, probably.
Yeah. Stacy and I, as you all know, you've all seen, we've got pictures of this. We were followed for a couple miles. We had our spot at one end. We called it the hunting area. Then we had their living area. We called it. Okay. In the middle was the trestle where we did all our research, and we're coming out. They followed us from, the bedding area, we call it. They followed us from the bedding area all the way out towards the trestle. Okay. And when we could hear them inside the brush line. And Stacy said, I called Gary up right after. And I said, dude, you're not going to believe what just happened. And I'm about to send you some pictures too. Remember that, Gary? I called you. I just about pissed my pants, literally. I got to admit, I really didn't feel threatened at the time. But just the fact that it was that close to us really freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're walking and Stacy said, we're being paced out right now. And I'll admit, Stacy picks up on things quicker than I do because she's very sensitive. And I said, no. I said, I don't think so, honey. I said, I don't really hear anything. She said, well, open your damn ears. And so I said, okay, keep walking. So I said, stop. We stopped real quick, and then we heard, and then it stopped. So we did that about 5 times. Finally,
you're moving when you're moving, right?
It's exactly. Finally, she says, throw me the phone. I've got full facial features. Threw her the phone. She was able to get 5 shots off from 5 different angles where you can see clear as day. You can see parts of a face, and you can see the red glowing eyeballs. You guys have all seen those, I think.
Those eyes are crazy.
Yeah, and Sean actually noticed a second one in the lower half of one of those and blew it up. The pixelation is bad because he had to blow it up so much, but you can damn well tell what it is. So there was actually 2 of them pacing us out. So and we only heard one.
I'm pretty envious, Jeremiah. I've never seen those eyes like that,
Here's the thing. We didn't see the eyes until afterwards. Until the picture, I think it's the flash probably set them off. But then again, I've had experience. Where they can, the one where they just.
Well, some of that video you sent me, that looks like they're glowing ahead of you.
Yes. Oh, that you're talking about that one, and that brings me back to Gary's story, where Gary, you said crossing back and forth across the trail. Well, we're walking, and I've told you all, Stacy loves to go black. She gets her rocks off on it. I don't know why. And Gary always says, Jeremiah, we're talking about sister here. Don't even ask questions. But you can hear us, and we're walking through the mud, through knee-level mud, through the bayou. And we knew we were being paced out. That's the same, the night before, Travis said, get the hell out of there. I just saw him 10 feet behind you, behind that tree. peek his head out and look at you. So I left. But the next night, me, Stacy, my stepdaughter, and her friend were out. And as we're walking out, you can see flashes of them. Two of them shoot across real quick. And I think one of them came around behind me, then came out in the front. So when we got to the end of that trail out of the bayou and got to the main dirt road, I pulled up my headlamp real quick, and that's what you saw. Those big blue eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was really cool video.
Yes, very cool. Very
You're
cool.
mentioning your wife likes to go dark. We like to like to sit in the dark sometimes at night.
Like we do too.
Sit down. I tell you what, I learned a lesson. You don't walk around in the dark without a light, because you can take a stick in the eye, which I did last summer. And it's still messed up.
Absolutely. But we do too. We like to go dark and just sit, and I tell you what, we've had some weird shit happen.
Well, it's kind of cool because your eyes adjust and stuff, right?
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
You know?
They do.
And then
especially if it's full moon.
Yeah. And then I don't know, you get what's the word? Not sensitive, but you're just more aware of noise. Like, just getting real quiet in the pitch black.
Your other senses take over.
That's what I was looking for. Senses.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, we do the same thing. She loves it.
Has anybody ever ran through alternative sight patterns with night vision with you?
No. Me?
Yeah, either one of you. I've talked to Jeremiah about it. The eyes, you got rod cells that circle your pupils in your eyes, and if you look in the same spot, those rod cells will literally deaden for a few seconds, and then they regenerate because of the light.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the military, they teach us, like, if you want to see in darkness, if you want to see a spot, you never look directly at it. You scan over it in a S-shaped pattern like this at about 3 to 6 degrees. And that's the reason at night everybody talks about shadows and stuff. Well, you see more out of your rod cells, which is actually your peripheral, somewhat of your peripheral vision. So if you're looking at a target in front of you, you always want to scan, a 3 to 6 degree pattern over it about every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because you'll literally see it fade in and out, fade in and out.
That's good to
Wow.
Yeah. It's like those eyes we caught that we thought self-illuminated. I don't know if that's a thing they can do, or what you said, Gary, like they can probably take in more ambient light that we can't see.
Well,
and that could have lit them up. We're
kind of leading off the subject a little bit,
right?
Very good point. We don't know what their eyes are genetically designed.
Exactly.
Like Nate was talking about, taking a stick in the eye.
Yes.
These things move nocturnally 95%, I believe, most of the time, 95%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe that because some of the stuff that I've seen, these, trailing them, tracking them, and seeing that and knowing that they had came through there that night before, these guys can see in night far better than we can.
Oh my God.
That's the reason I'm leaning towards, and we're doing this, fixing to start working on this study even more about the infrared. I think these guys have just got a better. I've heard. I even read that paper, that show about from the optometrist about the night.
Yes.
The ambient light. Hell, even blood pressure can change the color, make it reflected light look more red because you're pushing more blood into the eye.
Yeah.
That would explain angry eyes, red.
Yes. Yeah. Because I've seen them red, blue, all different colors.
There's so many factors, different light will reflect
different colors, right?
Here's the thing that we're getting at, though. Predominantly now, and this is something that was brought up to me the other night that I never thought about, but predominantly now, probably 98% of all headlamps and flashlights are LED, not incandescent.
Right. Okay.
So we're getting a different eye shine from that than from a lamp.
Right.
Every time I've seen one of these reflect their eye light or eyes shine through a lantern, it's been red.
See, yes, it does. It depends on the light you use.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm glad. I am glad we touched on that for for a second. But back to this whole following thing. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. So Gary, I know you've had, some experience, like, you're multiple
where they followed us out. And, that was one thing that we're planning a trip. Nate got to meet my tracking partner last night, Patrick. You've met him.
Patrick. Great guy.
Very knowledgeable. I mean, just phenomenal. But we're doing something similar to what you do, Nate, is we're going about 8 miles in. And nobody down here going 8 miles in, there's very few places that you have to travel that far to get that deep in there.
Right.
And talking to the game rangers, they say that maybe 2 people go in there every 5 years.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And but what the main thing that I was thinking about as soon as our discussion last night with
half and half
horsemen is how you talk about y'all will pack in and then set up a camp and go another 4 or 5.
Go further. Yeah.
Right.
I guarantee you. I'm going to tell you. I guarantee you. If you go in and you go to where you're doing your research and you get a wood knock, by the time you get to your camp, they're either already there or they're out there with you. They're the only follow you to camp. I mean, I just common sense in the tactical sense. I mean, if I was a family pod of survivalists and at least one of them's going to follow you to your camp.
Absolutely.
Now I have to ask, with your encounter, the one that got more aggressive, had y'all been deeper into the woods earlier that day?
You mean our hunting camp encounter that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, we leave camp every day, and like I said, I had my side-by-side, so we cover a lot of ground. We go to different areas and hunt up in the mountains, so we go quite a ways away, honestly. And it seemed like I could be wrong, but it seemed like they were waiting around for us because, like, remember I mentioned we get back and we hear a knock when we got back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's almost like they were just waiting for us to get back, watching the camp the whole time. And then, of course, the trees. So they were there right in our camp while we're gone.
Yeah,
sure.
They pulled out that one tree, pushed the other one over. So I think they were just hanging around our camp the whole time.
Or could have sent one with you to keep an eye on you.
Yeah, I suppose they could. We'd go quite a bit.
Send some sort of signal. Hey, we're coming back. But
right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
We just don't know. But that's interesting stuff.
You mentioned you're on your side by side.
Yeah.
And just like you said, you could hear a car coming from miles away.
You're right. Yep. Exactly.
If you ever get in a situation like that again, I don't know how safe it would be, but it might be an idea of maybe having somebody hunker down at camp.
I know where you're going with this. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I do too.
The guys from Into the 400, Randy Arrington and Shane Carpenter, they do this a lot. They'll leave either audio recorders at camp or even cameras. And, and then leave and then come back. And that, that might be an idea, but I don't know how safe that would be.
Yeah, you might come back and your partner's gone.
Yeah.
Taken from camp.
That might be a missing 411 case. Yeah.
But definitely maybe put up, audio recorders or something like that to maybe catch.
Right. You know what? You're so right, Gary. And the thing about that encounter is, I hate to say it, we were just hunting. We were in hunting mode. Yeah. So I don't even think I had an audio recorder, because I never thought that would happen. We're going up to hunt and it happens, so I was a little unprepared for that.
Yeah. Here's a funny deal. You see this little white camera right here?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, yeah.
This thing runs off of a 12-volt power source. It is fully motion trackable.
Oh, wow.
It's $30.
No kidding.
You can actually monitor it from your phone via Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's cool.
What we'll do is we'll take a power supply. It runs off a 12-volt. You got to get an adapter to adapt it down. This is actually built for like a baby camera, but it's fully adjustable. It fully traverses, gathers audio,
and
cool. It motion tracks night vision out to about, I'd say 75 to 100 feet.
Oh, wow.
we'll set this in you know how most of your tents have got the screen at the top. If you take the the rain cover off, we leave the rain cover off and set this up because we just attach it to the pole, and then we lay down either in the vehicle, or we'll hunker down in the vehicle, or hunker down in the tent and have this up there with night vision, and we can use our phone and pan back and forth. But if you don't want to do that, if you wanted to leave something like this, you put the power supply in it, put a SD card in it, and then it'll track motion.
Oh, wow. And will it record too?
Yeah, it records onto the SD card.
Okay, gotcha. That would be great. You know, because usually we have a couple rigs, usually just 2 rigs, 2 trucks in our hunting camp. So that'd be something you could put. My buddy has a white truck too. I could put it up on the top of the truck while we're gone.
And run you a power into or even set it on the dash.
Exactly.
And they're $30. If you lose it, you lose it. You know, it's not that bad of a investment. That's a cool deal. It's not a $600 camera.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, a couple of years back, I bought a FLIR. It's just the handheld. The Scout. It's just a little guy. It's a monocular.
Yeah, the A10 Scout.
Yeah, that's what I got. And I really like it. But the one thing I don't like about it is at night when you're looking through it, you know, it's great. But the minute you take it off your eye, you can't see, your eyes are just shot.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't like about that thing.
In the military, we called it cat's eyes, but when we would come in, you just have to make adjustments because we'd always have a monocular, and also messes with your depth perception.
Yes.
Use a monocular, and we'd keep the other eye closed if anybody was using the lights. That's one of my biggest downfalls and nemesis when I'm out camping with people and they have a headlamp. Yeah. A bright light that you say something to them, and the first thing they'll do is look at you, and they're shining a bright light on your face.
No kidding.
I mean, what? That's Stacy's pet peeve right there. As well.
And that's where we get a kick out of it because we go blackout. We go, even when I go camping by myself, when the sun goes down, I run the generator until the sun goes down, and then we go all black. But
all black. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. How about how many times have you guys had to tell your buddy to turn the damn headlamp off, sitting around like fire?
Oh God, all the time. I've literally got kicked out of research groups because of it. Because I've almost gotten fist fights with people. My night vision to me, okay, I'm very unique because of my eyes are damaged in the way that they are. When I take my glasses off, my night vision is actually enhanced a little bit because I burnt my retinas.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So I'm very particular about my night vision. Me and my wife actually, we don't even look into a campfire. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. We sit with our back to the campfire. You know.
Yeah.
It's just little silly stuff like that.
No, you're right. It does. It affects your vision.
You're right, man.
Yep. You were usually sitting around the campfire staring at it. You hear something, and you go like this. You can't see anything.
You can't see. It's just like, you know, what Patrick said last night, Nate, you know, that these guys respect skill set. They respect.
Yeah.
They know when you're looking. They act different when I go in the woods, especially with Scout, because they know that there's a dog there, and they know that a dog can sense.
Yes.
But he acts so weird. He doesn't bark. He doesn't growl. He doesn't alert on them. I've trained him not to, and it's weird. You know,
probably weird for them not seeing him react.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it, you know, you was talking about the triangulation. I almost lost my camping partner, my wife, because they triangulated. I think I told you that, Nate. They got up 10 feet of our tent, triangulate 3 of them.
Yep.
And she almost come unglued. But you was talking about reports. I had forgot all about it until he was messaging me. Took a report. I know we're getting off subject again, but about follow.
It's okay. It's okay.
We're talking about tents and camping and everything else. Took a report last Saturday when I was working. Husband and wife laying in their tent with another couple in Arkansas, and they literally seen something walk up. And in between the campfire and the tent, walked up and stopped because one of them shuffled. I'm getting a lot of one of them, you know, moved in their sleeping bag and it froze. And they got the full silhouette of it sitting here like this, kind of hunched over, looking at their tent. And they literally, she reached over and grabbed his shoulder. She's the one that seen it. And he woke up, and they laid there for 3 hours and watched this thing.
Wow. Oh my God.
They laid perfectly still for like 3 hours, and then after about 3 hours, it finally turned and eased away.
Wow. Talk about patience on the creatures.
Oh my God, dude.
This is what we're dealing
well, on their behalf too, be having the balls to watch that thing for 3 hours, you know.
No kidding.
Jeremiah, you know who he is, and you know he's pretty intimate about the Sasquatch. He's the one that at a young age had the eye encounter with the juvenile real close.
Yes,
Our incident.
Very well. Yep.
But what I'm getting at is the skill set of these animals. You know, folks. I'm sorry, I say that all the time.
That's all right.
That's okay.
We know what you mean.
The skill set of these guys is just phenomenal. I mean, there's no doubt. Nate, I'm telling you, brother, I guarantee you multiple times in y'all's before your 7 years of walking this path with these things, you've probably been within 10 feet of them up there hunting and never know they're there.
I will guarantee it.
I wouldn't doubt it. You know, we talked about it the other night. I think it changes when they're aware that you're aware, you know. Then things kind of in a little bit, because when people are oblivious to them, it almost takes a sighting, you know, because like you know what I'm saying, like when we first went out, the very first time we went out, I told you the story. We got the rock thrown at us. We went to seek it out, and we found them, and something happened. And since then, it's been weird.
And it's like literally, I don't know if it's and we could go down that path, because if we get into the second part of the following you, it kind of leads to the path. But I don't know if it's a skill set observation, maybe them seeing you looking for them, you know, like we was talking about last night, Dan, about how my dad had really never noticed them on the property. And then when they noticed that I was back there looking at their sign, that they started interacting with us more.
Right.
Or if it's a psychological, maybe they feel they feel that we feel their presence or something, you know,
something.
Spiritual thing. Because in saying that, there's the other end of this. The common factor is they say that there's a lot of folks out there that say they'll follow you 40, 50 miles to your house. You know,
and I've heard, And,
you know, Toby, hey, when you have Toby on, Jeremiah, ask him about that. He's got some stories.
You'll be on with us when he comes on.
Now,
so you can help me breach the topic.
Who be the one that found the other stick structure?
Yeah, you talking to me, Gary?
Huff Lake?
No, that was Rich.
Oh, that was the little found.
Rich found the little one.
We found the same thing.
Okay.
The glyph or the structure, Gary?
The glyph.
That was Rich.
The asterisk, is that what you're talking about? There's a couple different.
Yeah. Rich is the one that found the asterisk that was just like yours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, you got people like Scott Carpenter that, you know, and the guy's got some damn good evidence, you know.
Oh yeah.
And he says they followed him all the way into his town, you know.
Guys, I got to tell you, when I lived in North Carolina, they would follow. I lived miles. That trestle, it was within walking distance, but you're talking about a good 5 mile walk. And I always told Stacy, they're coming into this neighborhood at night. And there was times where Gary can testify to this. I would send Gary tracks that I found in my backyard.
Yeah,
of my house.
Wow. Yeah.
So you would hear cats getting strangled at night, where you hear that high pitch where it's like a male mounting them. You know how they make that, but then all of a sudden it was like they were getting the life squeezed out of them. We had hundreds of feral cats in the neighborhood, and I think they were coming in at night to feed on the feral cats, the hogs, the deer. Very rural neighborhood.
Our mindset as a human species has changed from what it was 100, 150 years ago. We used to live in the woods. Our skill set was in the woods, so they had to be farther out. Now, these guys, my father, for one, we used to sit out and play in the yard when I was a kid until midnight.
Yes.
My siblings running around and everybody out sitting underneath the shade tree. It's like for the last 15 years, the sun goes down, they go inside, close the curtains, turn on the AC.
Yes.
This is a mindset of people. I'm not saying all people, because there is a lot of people out that's in the outdoors. Nate, you and Corey are prime example. I hate to say it, even though I don't agree with him personally, but Steve Isabel. I mean, the guy's out there all the time. You got people like Leon Thompson. You got people like Les Stroud. You got, but what I'm saying is, as a mindset, we look at the 90% of the houses that are built now, they've got a little bitty entryway front porch. Up until the 70s, everybody had a big front porch because we spent a lot of time outside.
Yes.
Right.
In saying that, go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just said good point. Yeah. It's a lot different these days.
Absolutely. So they could, looking at it from a survival standpoint, and that's what, a lot of people, I think, overlook things. It's easier to survive down here in Oklahoma in the Midwest than it is up there where you're at, Nate.
Yeah.
Simple fact. We got farms about every 2 miles, if that, maybe every mile, maybe every 3/4 of a mile. So like you were saying, Jeremiah, they followed you 5 miles. And I did want to say something on that. The tracks that he sent me from outside his house was very comparable to the tracks he was getting down by the trellis.
Yes.
But,
wow.
But, I tell people all the time, I can take a knife, a canteen, and a sleeping bag down around our property down there and disappear, and you get fleeting glimpses of me all the way to Falk, Arkansas. And I'd survive good because especially in the summertime, I'd like, hey, there's a garden over here. Let's go over here and steal us a cucumber or something. Let's go here and steal some corn in another garden. Let's go over here and steal a chicken, a couple of eggs over here. Let's go over here and steal some grain. And I truly believe that these guys have the mindset. I've seen it happen, and too many people's seen it, where they'll take like 2 or 3 deals of corn and sweep the tracks out. I literally took a report where they said it looked like somebody had took a corn stalk and swept the tracks.
I'll be darned.
In our lineage, in our family, we used to have that all the time. My grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee. They planted a garden next to the woods. And then we had our garden. And I always asked my grandmother, I said, why? They never would let me, we call it hoeing, weeding the garden.
Yeah.
They never would let me go over there. And I said, what's that for? And it's so funny because my dad laughs about it now. She'd always say, oh, that's for the forest folk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gary, say that. I've heard that from different people in the Bigfoot world. I've heard that story before. Like that was kind of a common thing out in the country, like you're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Same with my grandma, being full-blooded Mohawk, she would not let me go she would that thing, kind of like your grandmother, Gary.
Keep you away from the woods.
Keep me away from the woods and plan a couple specific things, and she'd say, don't go over there or they'll take you, they'll put you in their basket, walk away with you. Just to scare me. But that holds, you hear different tribes talking about that same
mission.
Yeah.
I heard Mr. Thomas Seward talk about their people even did that. But something that me and my dad was talking about that he never put 2 and 2 together. My grandfather, when he was a kid, all the way up until when I was, kid running around on our property, an hour before dark, he'd go out, he'd honk the horn 3 times. Okay. If you didn't come running, if he had to get in the truck and drive down the road to come find you in the woods, he would, and I'm not talking just a spanking. I'm talking take the belt off, lay into 3 horn bursts if you was not beelining for the house. He did that to my dad. He did that to me. He even did it up until the day he died to my nephews that's running around. My dad's still doing it. And I always wondered why they would not let anybody play outside of the yard. We had like a 3-acre yard, but me. They wouldn't let anybody else go out at night but me. And every time I'd step out the door, Granddad and Dad would hand me the rifle and say, go on that. You have to wonder how much this is intertwined into the knowledge that's passed down. But we got totally off subject. Make a long story.
No, I think it's good. I think this is good. We always roll into other things. I think it's good.
But it all links. I mean, Nate.
It all links.
where you was raised up, you was talking about you and Corey was talking about your grandfather, being the outdoorsman and hunting guys.
Uh-huh.
I guarantee you, if you looked back far enough, you'd find little quirks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Gary, since you brought that up, the one thing I really regret is I wasn't into Bigfoot back when I was, a middle to late teenager hunting with my grandpa, and he's no longer with us. But I wish I could have asked him, because I guarantee as much time as he spent in the mountains and the woods, and I wasn't into it, so I never would have thought of asking him. But if that's one thing, if I could go back and ask him, I'd ask him about that.
Oh, and I'm sure you'd hear some wild stuff, because my grandfather, the stories he passed down to my father are just, they're awesome.
This, which in saying that, to me, it gives inconclusive evidence that these things have walked the path with us
for
years.
Yes, even thousands.
Nate, you heard my dad say he's been on that property since '71, but our family property since 1864.
And that's generation after generation after generation.
Yeah.
And I always asked Dad what broached the subject with me and Dad about Bigfoot. I've always been into Bigfoot, but Dad never was. He started pushing the trees back, and my nephews are like 8 and 6. And then I got an older nephew that's 14. And it's so funny how little things, happen. But then they even boarded up my nephews' bedrooms. And I asked my nephews one day, I said, why are y'all, right in front of my sister? I said, why are y'all boarding up their windows? And Jake, the oldest one, was like, Boogeyman's looking at us. Big man's looking at us. And these windows, the bottom of the window is 7 feet off the ground.
Right.
And I'm like, really? Well, my dad put up 2 new floodlights on steel poles, not on a telephone pole, on steel oilfield pipe. Pushed the trees back, started carrying guns. And that's when I asked my dad, I said, Dad, you have some strange stuff going on down here? And he started telling me, and I'm like, Dad,
wow.
Hey, exactly what it is. Okay, let's jump back a generation. I've got 7 people that 2 of them's passed away, but the rest of them are still alive. That back when I was a kid, we didn't have TV and internet and all that. We had TV, but it was just local stations. But they'd get together every Thursday night and play what they call gin rummy, or we call it Russian roulette, rummy, or German rummy. Where you have 2 sets of 5.
Gin, whatever. Gin, whatever.
Yeah, the same. It's all the same card game.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting on my father's knee at the kitchen table at 6 years old, and they said I just started screaming, pointing at the window.
Yeah.
Demon, because we come from a Pentecostal background.
Yes.
Demon. The window, the bottom of the window, this was in the trailer house. And you know how most people, when they do trailer houses, they put them quite a bit off the ground with the block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The bottom of the window was about 8 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
So Dad, when I was, he had kind of forgot about it, and I had too. But, I brought up, I said, it's funny that I had the same situation when I was 6. These boys are having the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Dad, how often do you look out the windows at night? He goes, son, I don't.
Yeah.
But it's funny how multi-generations, and you catch that all over the place. You catch it up where you're at, Nate. You catch it where Jeremiah, where you're at, especially around the reservations.
Oh, yeah, that's just unreal. The stuff that used to come out of my grandma, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
The same thing with my dad, Gary. It's just this last week, he's really started to open up to me. And he's like, well, you haven't pressured me over the last year or so. So, maybe I'll come on that show with you guys. You just got to give me some time to put some old detail together. I said, that's fine, Dad. But for some reason, Dad he never liked talking about these things.
Well, that's
exactly like
that's the generational thing. And I'm
exactly like my grandpa, man.
Yeah. And it could be he would never tell me this. He'd probably tell one of you, but not me. And there's reasons for that. But he could have been an encounter when he was a kid, which is very possible because he was in the woods with my grandpa logging at 7 years old.
Yeah.
I honestly think, Jeremiah, your idea of getting him and my dad on the same show. And
phenomenal.
Let's do it.
Phenomenal.
Hey, Corey, what were you saying?
I was just saying, Dave or whatever, he's like that. I mean, when we were talking to him one of those last Christmases about it, he was like, even he didn't see one. He just had that, the hair stand up on the back of his neck feeling. Even from that, and he obviously heard that hunter's encounter, straight from him. But he's like, I think there's something spiritual about him, and I want nothing to do with him. And he's not into the topic, even though he knows they exist. He's not into the topic. He just wants nothing to do with it.
Yep.
Once again, I have to pull up, Steve Isabel talking about his grandfather.
Yes.
Later on, when he told of his encounter, that generation, Jeremiah, how old is your dad now? 72, 73?
My dad's 80, Gary.
Okay, so he's older than my dad, so he'd be closer to my grandfather's age then. So
dad's 79. My grandfather, the story, all the crazy stories you're going to hear from dad, from grandpa, are from the CCC logging camps in the Adirondacks. Okay, and I told you one of them.
Yeah, that would be even closer to the age group of your grandfather. That generation, talking about Nate and Corey.
Yeah,
that generation.
I think my grandfather would be like 92 or 3 right now.
Okay, so mine, the little younger than mine, because mine would have been, my grandpa died at 93, and that was back in like 2005.
Oh, so what we're saying, Jeremiah, is your dad would be closer to that.
Yes. Excuse me. Yeah.
Because my dad's just 62.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, but still, it's still very interesting how the generational thing, and it seems to stick with these families, man. Tell me it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, you think about it from a standpoint of survival.
Yes.
Like with our property, we don't let nobody hunt on it. The only ones that hunt on it is me. For the past 20 years, the only, like you heard Dad say last night, Nate, the only people that goes back in them woods is me.
Yeah.
Dad don't even go back there. He'll go back there and build fence and stuff, but he skirts the outer edge. He doesn't push in through the timber. I'm the only one, even the deer hunters, the deer hunt that won't push into the timber. And I've asked them more than once, why don't y'all go up in there? We just don't. Well, I do, because I know what's in there. But if we look at it from a standpoint, even like with Nate, with your encounter where they was getting aggressive, okay, they know that's their last stand. You was in a very remote location, and they know them hills up there get flooded with hunters, I bet, if it's public land up in Washington. Elk hunters. Well,
it's not. You're right, Gary, but where we're at, it's kind of cool. It's not quite as bad. We're on the other side of the mountain range there, closer to Idaho. So we go all the way into Idaho, Priest Lake, and around, and come back the other way.
Well, my point exactly. That area is not as popular, won't have the populace of hunters that everything else in the general vicinity will.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a family pod, if I'm a father, and I of any sentient thought, this is my last stand.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to push these guys out of here because my family's here and we're feeding here. If these guys come, more are going to come.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma,
that's
what's happening.
Yep.
Yeah. Good point.
Got to look at it like that. You gotta. It all makes sense, man. It really does. All these situations we've talked about tonight have made sense. We've actually put in a really good full show, gentlemen.
We're not pushing a lot of speculation in this. This is common sense.
Yes.
I've always
we haven't pushed any speculation tonight.
Yeah. I believe that there's a lot to this.
Yeah, of course.
But I believe that a lot of things that people are not observing and just putting spiritual aspects to explain practically. Now, there's some things that can't.
They can't, right?
Like I'm talking to some people that's been zapped, flat out with. But guess what? We've got somebody in our group that has extensive backgrounds with big cats.
Yes.
Seattle area.
Yes.
Worked at the zoo up there in the university. And
he was the gentleman I contacted about the tree ordeal, I believe, when I was with. Okay. The guy when I was with who, my guy I used to work with, when we had the ordeal of that deer in the tree, we called somebody at one of the universities in Washington.
Well, that would be probably this guy, but it's his wife that has the extended.
Okay. Yeah.
I sent y'all a paper that he wrote the other day.
Yeah, that was phenomenal, by the way.
She talks about how she says it's not, a tiger is so beautiful when you look at them. And
yes,
even in the videos, when they look you dead in the face and they do that snarl,
yes,
their whole disposition, it terrifies you. And then she said, this is the same animal that you're infatuated with because of the beauty. But
yes,
when it does that, and it does that growl. She goes, she does. If I quote her right, she says she thinks that it's directly in correlation to infrasound, because
absolutely,
they do that growl and they do that snarl, and that how a dog will hackle up and growl, and
yes,
that would have a direct effect. And if one of the big fellas does the same thing, we don't know what effects it's going to have on us.
No, I mean, I can say, man, I can't say I have been, but Nate, I mean, you as well. We've talked about this. I've had experiences where I felt like I've been, I vomited and felt out of it, and and that, heard something take off from behind me, then all of a sudden started throwing up, being dizzy, being out of it. And that's one of the effects of infrasound. But that's speculation. That's the first speculation we've thrown at you guys tonight. Sure. But but I had to mention it.
Jeremiah, I tell you about my one time with infrasound.
You have, but I you know me with my brain injury, I forget a lot of shit.
Working in the oil field, our home base is out of Houston, Texas, and my son's at Corpus Christi. I was swimming in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I remember is just locking up.
Yeah.
I literally paralyzed at the moment they drug me out. I was about 8 foot deep of water, almost drowned. And they directly correlated it to an offshore explosion, the sound, because they was doing whole field stuff, fracking out there.
I thought it was a whale or a porpoise.
They thought it was, that's what our response was, but the company was actually able to go in through sonic, the ground logs. And they said it was either a big whale, a sperm whale, did it, or it was from an offshore explosion, because water amplifies sounds.
Absolutely.
The Navy's actually working on.
I know.
Weapons.
Yeah.
So if
I was going to say, you're right, Gary, about the whole tiger thing. Tigers are extremely known for infrasound, especially the smaller Sumatran tigers in Indonesia. They are especially known for their ability to paralyze prey with that infrasound, and then just
freeze them. It just gives them that extra seconds or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. They're extremely known for it, the Sumatran.
Even a lion. See, that's another thing that it throws me for a loop when people want to argue about the distance that this target species can call.
Yeah.
The average lion roar can be heard from, I think they said 7 to 10 miles away.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. And a lion on average has a chest diameter of about 3.5 foot.
Yes.
The thing that had a chest diameter of about 5 foot.
Exactly.
Took the circumference. And the amount of air that this thing could expel, and with the big neck and the big
right.
We don't. I hear people say, "Oh, in the mountains." I understand that normal sound would only travel, say, a mile and a half in a thick environment. But these guys, when they light off and we get this audio, and they say, "Oh, that was just right over there." No, it'd be a long ways over there.
Oh, it's a long ways over there. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we put in a pretty good show tonight.
Yeah. It sure was fun. Sure. Good conversation for sure.
Why don't we? We were gonna pick up the second half of this whole following bit, and that was kind of like we were saying earlier. Following people home, as you put it, Gary, earlier. You've heard of them following people 50 miles home after they get a first meeting with them.
And that do it the next time, I could actually pull up some of those reports so we'd have.
That sounds good.
Great.
So why don't we I know we took you guys a little off topic tonight, but you guys got to understand that, we do this for you guys, the viewers, and this all correlates.
Yeah.
This all correlates.
Yeah.
And we're here to educate, and we just want to do the best job we can, and we hope we got some good stuff across tonight. Thanks for listening in, but anyway, thanks again to you guys as well. That was a great episode. And Gary, your idea about the our little 5-minute news thing before we start, that's a done deal, man. I like it.
Well, it just gives us a chance to look at some older reports.
Absolutely. Those are the most interesting, I think.
I've got some great ones I can share too, guys, over the
Beautiful.
course. Yeah, I've got Beautiful. One, a tribal member that blow you guys away. It's really cool.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Sounds good. All right, fellas. Well, have a good evening, and everyone out there. Yeah, good seeing you guys as well, and we will see you this weekend, guys. Have a good night, fellas. Thanks everyone for listening in.